Hey YouTube, these are mistakes that I see doctors make when they want to start a software company. So whether that's AI company or some app they want to make or whatever in digital health, I keep seeing doctors repeat these mistakes that cost them time and money, and really at the end of the day, that's all you have. So who am I? I'm a medical student at Mayo Clinic, the #1 hospital in the world, but I've also worked at Microsoft as an intern. I've worked at many startups, and I have a technical background, right? Computer science. So I have understanding of both worlds, and I'm here to share that with you guys today. So let's begin here. The #1 problem I see doctors do when they want to make a software company is try to outsource the software development to a different country. Hey, I found this team in, Asia or something, and they want to use that as the way they're going to build out the software. So that has several problems, and I never really recommend that to people because #1, there's going to be communication issues. #2, they don't always have your best interests in mind, and I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. And then #3, it's going to be very, very expensive to maintain that software. It's probably not going to look good. It's probably not going to look modern, and it's just going to be a very bloated piece of software that typically is not going to give users a good experience, especially when you outsource cheaply to countries abroad. So just stepping back, the major problem that happens when you outsource to people you don't know in countries abroad is that they develop the software in a way where only they can work on it, and now you're going to become reliant on them for any update that you need, right? Oh, can you add this new feature? Can you do this? Can you do that? They are going to control the code base. A lot of them won't even send you the code base in case you grow, right? Because hopefully one day your company grows and maybe you want to have a team in-house here in the US or wherever you live. You can't do that because a lot of these companies won't send you the code base, or they're going to charge you an extraordinary amount of money just to send you the code that they wrote, which is something you should be entitled to in the first place. And then a really bad technique, even if they give you the code base, is they develop the code in a very non-standard way, in a very odd way that makes it difficult for anybody else to work on it except themselves. And in the tech world, we call this tribal knowledge, right? It's like tribal knowledge. You can't find out how this works. The only person that knows how it works is the person that wrote the code. And that's very dangerous if you ever have ambitions of scaling this company beyond, a small company and being able to serve tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands or more users. All right, so that's problem #1. Now, what's problem #2 that I see physicians make is learning how to code themselves. So, you're saying, Kevin, you're telling me not to outsource it and not to learn how to code myself. So what am I supposed to do? Well, I'll answer that at the end, but also I said don't outsource it to other countries, right? So the main problem is physicians are very, very busy, and some of them convince themselves, hey, I'm gonna go learn how to code myself. Now, learning a new skill, as you all know, is not a bad thing, right? Go learn a new skill, that's phenomenal. But here's the thing, as a physician, your time is way better spent serving patients in the hospital and getting to income, and then leveraging that income to purchase the time of others who are much more well-versed in software and can build your project out, and you can be a managerial role. That is the best use of your time. It is not to go learn how to code from scratch, because look, I've been in the software business for 10 years. You're not going to learn how to become, half as good as me in a few months. It's going to take you a long time, and most of them quit before they even get anything done. Now, the caveat is it's not bad to understand general principles, like general principles of how a server is set up, general principles about an API call, right? You want to understand things like that so you can make good decisions on behalf of the app and also ask good questions to your development team. But it's not worth, in my opinion, for any physician who doesn't already know how to code to sit down and learn how to code all day. So let's get into what you should do, okay? In my opinion, every physician that wants to build something should look to 3 places in this order. #1 is your local hospital. If you work at an academic center, if you have smart people at your hospital, PhD students, PhDs, maybe other technical people, right? I'm at the Mayo Clinic. There's a lot of people like this. These are the first people you should contact and ask them, hey, would you like to build this together? Because these are people in your sphere. You probably know them, and they've been vetted, right? They're in the hospital system. They understand the health tech. Sometimes if you get a developer that's not really medical, they don't necessarily know when you tell them to do something, what it should look like and how it needs to be experienced by your patients. And that is a bottleneck, because that's going to essentially double your development time, since the developer needs to learn medicine while they're also learning to code. So that's why #1 is people, at your hospital, in your academic setting, if you can. A lot of you don't work at an academic hospital right now. You work maybe for your own clinic, whatever you do. All right, #2, in my opinion, is a student. All right, this is a student who's studying computer science. They're in their senior years, okay? They're either in their 3rd or 4th or 5th year of studies, whatever senior or junior means to them. and they've already had an internship or two up their belt. They've shown that they can build something. This, in my opinion, is the secret gem that nobody does. Find a student, it's gonna be the best bang for your buck. Because number one, students are, they're very eager to learn, okay? Everything they do is like a double purpose. It's also good for their career and showing the projects that they build, as well as they get to make some money on the side. And number three, they're really, really easy to find, easier than you think. How do you find these students? You go to good engineering colleges in your area. You get on their job boards. This is as simple as sending an email out to whoever's in charge of the job board. Hey, I'm a new medical company working with a doctor, boom, boom, boom. Just put your listing there. You can also put it on places like LinkedIn or whatever, but that's very, very low yield in my opinion, because we've used that, at a previous company I used to run. LinkedIn, I mean, you get like hundreds of random applications. It's not really that worth your time or high yield. So number one is the job boards. Number two is if you can sponsor hackathons. So what's a hackathon? Many of you haven't heard about this. Hackathons are competitions where motivated computer science, usually students, come together and build something in 24 hours or 48 hours. They sleep very little and they compete for prizes. Typically it's like whoever builds the coolest thing wins. But the part that's good for you is companies can come sponsor prizes at these hackathons. So what this means for you is you go to your local college that's good in engineering, it has a strong computer science program. It doesn't have to be like a Stanford or a Harvard or something like that. It can be like a good public school that's in your area. You're gonna have smart kids there. You find out when they're running hackathons. So now you have a bunch of smart students. As long as the prize you're offering is relatively competitive in terms of the prizes being offered, you're gonna have a bunch of smart students working tirelessly 24 or 48 hours straight to build you a prototype. And what you do is you pick the best student, you pick the best work, and then you give them the prize, and you can say, hey, as part of the prize, you get an interview to work with us, or you get a gig to work with us, and you assess the students and all the teams as you're talking to them, if this would be something they'd want to commit to. So that's another amazing way to get talent, because if you have a student, they're learning modern things, they can build something out for you for a relatively cheaper price. They're learning as you learn, plus they're probably going to give you a product that looks more modern, more in line with, the latest tech trends, the latest design, as opposed to someone who is, 50 years old, working in a different country. They're going to give you what they learned how to make 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And I guess instead of a student, you could also find like a local developer guy, right? Like a local developer in your town, in your area. I really, really would recommend that it's someone that you can meet with in person a few times, just to build that trust, that connection, and ask about, what kind of software architecture do you use? Use the word architecture. Make sure that they use an architecture that's well known. But you can also look up, what are architectures for web apps? How are you organizing the files? This is where I say if you have like a basic understanding of how just code works, not necessarily sitting down learning how to code yourself, is going to be helpful so you understand where the pieces are and that they're not going to build something where you're going to have to become reliant on them. And the third way is if you can build it using a no-code tool. So nowadays we have things like Lovable, Base 44, Replit. These are all websites you can use in a ChatGPT-like interface to build out a prototype for your app. And it can be a working prototype. It can be something very, very good. And believe it or not, a great use of that is to use that to make a prototype, at least, a visual prototype, so you can give it to the student. You can give it to whomever else you're working with and say, yeah, this is what I want it to look like. And they can make it something that's functional, because a lot of the times in these no-code tools, it's not actually a functional product at the end. It's just maybe a static information web page. So those are the main takeaways. Don't outsource to other countries. In my opinion, that's a very, very big mistake I see a lot of people do, because it looks cheap, but it's not cheap in the long run. Don't try to learn how to code from scratch. You're not going to become as good as someone who spent years doing it. And 1 hour of you working can probably pay for more than 1 hour of them working. And the solution is, try to find someone to work with who's in your academic center. If you can't, find some students. This is a great, great thing as long as you vet them. They're motivated, competent kids. And lastly, if you can build it out yourself using one of these no-code tools, that's also a very great idea. That's it, guys. I'm building my own startup right now. It's called Amonis. Essentially, I clone doctors for patient intake. If this interests you, please send me a message. Again, my contact information is down below. If you have any questions, if you want me to look over anything for you guys, I'm a pretty small channel right now, so I have the time to do that. Feel free to message me. And other than that, I wish everybody the very best of luck.